if you look at artwork depicting Jael and Sisera and the action of this passage, and there's quite a bit of it, it's obviously a very dramatic story. Quite often Jael is portrayed as a somewhat seductive woman, and Sisera is kind of powerless at her feet, and the pictures, and they sort of does reflect reflect something of the Bible text. There's something sexual that seems to be going on in this whole incident. And so is it the case that Jael seduced Sisera? The text does indicate that there are sexual things going on. So the invitation into the tent, a tent is parallel, just like houses are paralleled with the body. Paul in the New Testament talks about the body as a tent, and end of Ecclesiastes, the imagery of a house is used to describe a body. So there's that parallel verbally. The description of Sisera falling at Jael's feet. The feet in the Bible is a sort of euphemism for everything from the waist downwards, and so things that are sexual and things that are to do with the toilet are often described in terms of feet. And then the word to lay, he laid down, in Deuteronomy chapter 22 is used to describe rape, and the word for bow is used to describe sex in Job chapter 31. So there are lots of things that are got sexual innuendo, I guess, in Judges chapter 5. But I think the very opposite is happening. It's not Jael who is seducing Sisera. I think that all of these are kind of deliberately raising this issue of sex. And then verse 30 helps us to see what's going on, because as Sisera's mum is wondering what's happened to him, she and her ladies in waiting, yes, they'll be dividing up the plunder, and it will be a womb or two for each man. So it's a euphemism. It's a horrible. You can hear the soldiers talking that way, and it's shocking to have it on the lips of a mum. But this is what's going on. This is the kind of man Sisera is. This is the kind of army that he leads. These are the kind of people the Canaanites are and have been for the last 20 years. It's a horrific situation that Israel have been in. We're told that they were greatly distressed. And at the end of chapter 4, and verse 24 of chapter 4, we're told that the king of the Canaanites, Hazor, the Hebrew word says he was cut off, or the NIV says destroyed. But the cut off word is really important because it's the word for circumcision, but it's also implied could be for castration. And so here, the thing that's going on is that this brutally abusive and oppressive regime that in many ways has come and raped Israel is now getting its comeuppance, and Sisera, particularly representing that whole regime, is dealt with and falls down dead. So I don't think it necessarily implies that Sisera was trying to rape Jael. Certainly doesn't imply that Jael was trying to seduce Sisera, but his end comes with all of those overtones and undertones and echoes, because God is dealing in his poetic justice, bringing relief and a new start for Israel, free from this oppression that they've been under. And the great news is that God is the same today, and he can bring rescue from oppressive situations for us if we're in those situations. And maybe these things throw up that kind of issue for us. It can stir up all kinds of memories. And God is just and able to judge everyone. There's no situation which doesn't come under his loving and righteous gaze, and we can trust him with that.